Hey RPG nuts, and welcome to the Spanner Lab. I'm Sasha, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a character sheet for Dungeons and Dragons. Now, if you already know how to do this, why are you watching this video? This video is aimed mostly at my players, so if it helps you, great. If you're not one of my players, if it doesn't help my players, sorry, I'll fix this, I'll do it again, I promise. It's basically just going to be how I do my character sheet, how I start with my going from my idea to an actual character. I'm going to be using the basic rules which are available online, and I will post the link to that, and I will be using just the basic rules. If you want to adapt this so you can use the player's handbook instead, if you've got any supplementary guides that you want to use as well, that's great. So I'm going to be starting there. Now, the step-by-step characters that it recommends, it suggests starting by choosing a race. Now, you might know what race you want to play. I find it easier to choose a class. So that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to start by choosing my class. Now, the character I want to play is a healer because my party currently doesn't have a healer, and I think it would be helpful to have a healer. So I am going to look at my class options, and I see that cleric is one of my class options. Instantly we can see clerics are healers. So I'm going to play as a cleric. So I'm going to get my character sheet, and straight away I'm going to write cleric on it. I'm also going to start at level 2 because the rest of my party are at level 2. So I can put my name here. I might know how many experience points I have. I'm going to say I've got 300. And I might know my name so far. Not necessarily. My proficiency bonus, because I'm level 2, is going to be +2. If you want to know where to find that, it is in the class, in this table here. So we look here, it says proficiency bonus +2. So that's going to be the same for any level 2 character. It's not just for clerics. Things will start changing as we get to higher levels, but that's where my proficiency level is. From there, I can see that I've got 1d8 per cleric level hit dice, so I can put that on my character sheet. So 1d8 per cleric level. Well, I've got 2 cleric levels, so that's going to be 2d8. I can also see that I've got certain saving throws. So my saving throws are wisdom and charisma, and I can mark those off as well. If you need to catch up, just pause the video. If you want to do this and do it along at home, pause the video every time you need to, because this is obviously very easy for me. But if you've never played Dungeons and Dragons before, if you've never filled out a character sheet before, this might be quite difficult. Okay. I also get a whole bunch of skills, but I have to choose those. So I'm going to save that for later. I'm going to make a note that I can choose history, insight, medicine, persuasion, and religion. Now I can note that on my character sheet if I want. I've already forgotten half of them. So it's medicine, persuasion, religion, insight, and history. Oh, there we go. I didn't forget any. The other thing I can note down is my equipment, my features and traits, and my languages. So I look on here, I can see that I've got spellcasting, divine domain, channel divinity, and a divine domain feature. So that is something I can choose. So I will write down spellcasting and then choose my divine domain. Every class has subclasses associated with it. So for cleric, I have a whole range of ones I can choose from. I am going to take the Divine Domain, whatever Divine Domain is available in the basic rules. So my options are Knowledge, Life, Light, Nature, Tempest, Trickery, or War. So only the Life domain is actually detailed in this document. So I'm going to pick Life, which is actually the best for healing anyway. The other spellcasting I get is I get one channel. I get one Channel Divinity. So I'm going to put Channel Divinity. And they get another feature that is associated with my subclass. So I'm going to have a look at my abilities. So in the Life domain, I get Proficiency with Heavy Armor as a bonus. So I can add that straight to my character sheet and put Heavy Armor over here. I also get the feature Disciple of Life, and that appears to be it at first or second level. So I get Preserve Life. So I get Preserve Life. You can then make up cards for each of these features, because you're going to end up with so many features on here, it's impossible to write them all out. It takes a long time. So put them down there, then you'll remember that you've got them. Over time, usually about 3 to 5 sessions, normally it'll take, you'll know what these are. So you won't have to write them all down and read them every single time you need to use them. I'm going to have some other proficiencies. So I get Light Armor, Medium Armor, and Shields. I'm also going to get Simple Weapons, and then I get to choose my equipment. So this is everything I have proficiency with. This is everything I'm good at. So I can use basically any kind of armor or shield, and I can use simple weapons. I've got proficiency with simple weapons. If it's simple, I get proficiency. So proficiency means that I get to add that +2 bonus to any roll I make with that. Okay, so I get to choose a mace or a warhammer if I'm proficient. Well, I've not chosen my race yet. I don't know if I'm going to be proficient with a warhammer yet, so there's a little bit of a difficulty there, but I wanted a mace anyway, so I'm going to pick a mace. So I'm going to add a mace under my equipment. I then get a choice of scale mail, leather armor, or chainmail if proficient, which, because I am a life cleric, I am proficient with chainmail, so I'm going to take the chainmail. And I also get a light crossbow and 20 bolts, or any simple weapon. So I could look up the simple weapons and choose one, but I'm just going to pick the light crossbow with 20 bolts. I also get a choice of equipment. Now, these aren't too significant, really. They provide you with a whole bunch of odds and ends like rations, torches, rope, a flask, little things that might be useful, generally are not going to hinge your character's life on. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a priest's pack because I care more about the flavour of my character, and I feel that this character is a disgraced priest of some sort. He's also going to get a shield and a holy symbol. So a holy symbol is what a cleric will use to cast spells. So you might get something similar if you're some sort of caster. D&D is not a game you can lose. These are not, irreversible decisions, and if you figure out later on that you think you've made a mistake, just tell your DM. They're not going to be angry at you, and if they are, they're a bad DM, and get out of that group as quickly as possible. Okay, so that's it for class. We're now going to look at stats. Now, for convenience, for my group, we are using the standard array. Your DM may have other ideas, but I'm using the standard array. So I'm going to use the quick build section in this document in the basic rules to decide where to put those stats. So make a cleric quickly by following these suggestions. First, wisdom should be your highest ability score. So I'm going to take that 15 and I'm going to make a note of it next to the box for wisdom. I'm not going to put it in, and you'll see why later. Followed by strength or constitution. Well, I want to be a healer, so I care more about surviving than hitting things. So I'm going to pick constitution over strength. So I'm going to put that 14 into constitution and the 13 into strength. And from there, it's up to me. Constitution, I'm just going to say never ever put constitution below a 12. Just because constitution affects how many hit points you get. If you put it too far below a 12, there is a decent chance your character will die at a low level. There are way better stats to dump. So I'm going to dump charisma. So I'm going to make my lowest stat charisma. So I've decided this character is a disgraced priest. He's not a pleasant person to get along with. He might be fairly intelligent. A lot of people dump intelligence just because their character doesn't need it. So why would they? So I'm going to put 12 in intelligence so that I can round off the party, and then 10 in dex. Again, this isn't going to be life or death unless you're putting constitution as an 8. You will die. Don't do it. And again, if you mess it up, just talk to your DM, ask if you can swap something around next time you level up. So that is my stats. Now I'm going to choose a race. Humans are by far the most common race. They can play anything well. I went to the trouble of picking out all of the optimal races by class. So because I'm playing a cleric, I can probably play as a human because anything can be played by a human, or I can play as a hill dwarf. Another good option is half elf because that gives you a certain amount of choice where you put your skills. I think I'm going to pick human, just because human's the most common race. I think it'd be more sensible to play as a human because the setting I've got is Waterdeep, and I want to fit in Waterdeep. I don't want to stand out by being the only dwarf in the tavern. So I'm going to go for human. So humans, the key thing about humans is they've got any old name, any old appearance, and then they've got these certain traits. So we're going to use these traits to help build our character. So every race will have ability score increases. So my ability scores each increase by 1. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go and add 1 to every single one of these. Now, your character might have +2s, it might have some minuses, if you've picked a weird, rare race. And then once I've finished adding those up, I'm going to put it in this smaller bubble. Now, some people prefer them in the bigger bubble. I prefer them in the smaller bubble, because the thing that's in the bigger bubble is what we'll care about. So that's going to be a 14, 11, 15, 13, 16. Oh, you can't really see that I've written 16 there. And 9. So then I'm going to, I don't have to put my age. Alignment, I can pick any old alignment. Size, we know what human sizes are, we've met them before. And then languages, so I can speak, read and write common and 1 extra language of my choice. So I'm going to pick, obviously, common, but then I'm also going to pick undercommon. No particular reason, I just thought it might be useful. If it ever is useful, cool. Now I'm going to turn these stats into modifiers. So what a modifier is, it's what I'm going to add to my dice when I roll it. Now I've got a table here with how to turn those stats into modifiers. So you can use this table to find out what your modifiers are. So that's going to be a -1. That's a +0, +1, +2, +2, and +3. So those are my stats sorted out. Once I know my constitution, I can then work out what my hit point maximum is. So if I go back to my class for a second, so if I go back to cleric, I can see that my hit points at first level is 8 plus my constitution modifier. So my constitution modifier is 2, so that would have been 10. And then at higher levels, it's 5 plus my constitution modifier per cleric level after first. So 5 plus 2 is 7, so I'm going to add that to the 10, and I'm going to get 17. So I can put my hit point maximum as 17. Know that I'm a human, I can put my speed in. My initiative is going to be the same as my dexterity modifier, so I can make that +0. Now I'm going to fill in my character's appearance. So I'm going to save that, because I've saved them all onto separate pages. I'm now going to look at my character's appearance. So once I know my character's race, I can start to fill in details about their appearance. So I'm going to say that my character is, don't need to do that, 28, that he's 5'8", 63 kilograms, he's got green eyes, tan skin, and light brown hair. So it's not me. First D&D characters often end up being quite similar to the people who made them, and I'm gonna call him. Well, I'm gonna have a look. I'm gonna look in the book and pick out a name. So there's some suggested names in the basic rules. There's even more in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, and I'm gonna say, yeah, he's a Kalashite. He's got brown skin, all the rest of it. Okay, I'm gonna call him Zashir. Again, that is uncannily similar to my own name, but his name is now Zashir. If I wanted to later, I could draw him out. I could say what he was allied with, organizations he was associated with. It's not vital right now. It's best to play as a character first and then discover the kind of person that they are. So I'm going to save that and go back to the first page of the sheet. So there is my character sheet again. I'm going to put my name on the front of it again, or my character's name. So Zashir. And I've decided that he's going to be lawful neutral, and I'm going to write human on there because I forgot to do that. I'm now going to pick his background. So I've said that Zashir feels like a disgraced priest to me. I get a few choices of background. And it's all about thinking about what kind of person that your character is. You might not know straight away. You might just pick out something that seems useful. But I'm going to go for an acolyte because it seems like something that my character would have done. So you get a whole bunch of options. This makes him an acolyte. So he gets these two skill proficiencies, insight and religion. Now, remember I said we weren't going to fill these in. That's because if you notice, I had insight as an option. I also had religion as an option. If I'd coloured those in before, well, now I would be having to go back and do it all again. So you may as well wait and not do it. So now I can pick my others. If you play certain races, you might have had some choices from your race as well, but humans don't. So I'm also going to pick medicine because I've decided he's going to be a life cleric, so that would seem useful. I also got a second choice, so I'm going to make that history because a lot of people tend not to pick history, and I want my character to be able to know things. So now I know my skills, I can use the fact that it's a dex skill to know what my bonus should be. So my dex is +0, so I'm going to do +0. All the ones that I've got a coloured in dot for, I'm going to add my proficiency bonus to. So history, I've got my intelligence, which is +1, +2 is going to make +3. And I can go ahead and do that for all of them. So I'm just going to do all of the intelligence ones at once so I don't have to think about it. I'm going to do all the dexterity ones at once. And so on. So my wisdom's +3. And my athletics +2. I can now do my passive perception, which I don't have proficiency in perception, so that is just 10 +3. 3, my wisdom modifier. So that's going to be 13. If I had proficiency, I'd add my proficiency bonus as well. I'm also going to go up and do my saving throws. So again, if I've got a coloured circle, I add my proficiency bonus. If I don't, I don't. Now, I think it's just rogues have something called expertise, where they add double the proficiency bonus. If you want to indicate that, just put a circle around whatever skill you've got expertise in. And that way you'll remember to do double the proficiency bonus for that. But I'm a cleric, I don't have any expertise. Get a +1 in charisma and a +5 to my wisdom saving throw. Your background also grants you maybe some languages or some skill proficiencies or some tool proficiencies. So I've got 2 languages of my choice. So I'm going to pick, because I've already got common and undercommon, I'm going to pick Draconic. And you know what, Dwarven. Why not? The more exotic languages aren't going to be useful because the chance of them coming up in your campaign is low. I get a holy symbol, which I had already got, so I don't need to do that. A prayer book or prayer wheel. I'm going to pick a prayer book because the prayer wheel doesn't appeal to me. 5 sticks of incense, vestments, a set of common clothes, and a pouch containing 15 gold pieces. It's the 15 gold pieces that matters. The rest of that is all just so that you can get a picture of your character. Like, there is no in-game use for incense unless you're being particularly creative. There's nothing I find more annoying as a dungeon master than, you know, you're in combat, a huge bear tears down the front of your tent and you try to waft incense at it. That is how you die. And it's a particularly unpleasant thing for me as a DM to have to kill your character just because you are being silly. It's really unpleasant to have to kill someone else's character because you were being silly. So please don't do that, because you won't be sitting at the table for very long. I also get this feature called Shelter of the Faithful, so I'm going to add Shelter of the Faithful to my features. So that's Shelter of the Faithful. I can also roll dice to decide what sort of personality I get. So I can roll a d8 to pick out a personality. There are online dice rollers. If you just look it up on your favorite search engine, I'm sure a online dice roller will come up if you don't have your own dice. Or you can just pick a couple from here. So I might have a certain bond. I'm going to say that my bond is I got into debt with a landlord and need to pay it off. So your bond is why you need money, or why you're doing what you're doing. So you might not care about money, but you might care about avenging the death of your great uncle. You might not care about money, but you might care about advancing the faith of your chosen religion. My ideals, I could be like trustworthiness. I really care about people being honest, and I'll be upset if people lie. Personality traits. Think about the fact that you're going to have to get on with other people. It's part of being in Dungeons and Dragons. You're going to be part of a team. If you can talk to the other players, see if you've got any personality traits that might be fun to play with someone else's. So if you've got two people who are intolerant of other faiths, that could get quite tense. I'm going to say I've got an optimistic attitude. But that also I am easily distracted. Now, you might get some overlap between personality traits and flaws. Flaws are what is wrong with your character, what might make things go wrong. So a perfect hero is boring. They never do anything fun. But on the other hand, too many flaws, and you're going to be a burden to the rest of your party. So pick something either that's in the table or something that's similar. And I'm just going to go for I judge myself too harshly. So I didn't like any of the ones that were there, but I picked something very, very similar. Now we're starting to see that this character sheet is nearly filled up now. The only thing I don't have, pretty critical for a cleric, is my attacks and my spells. Now I'm going to do the spells separately because spells are difficult and not everyone's got them, so you don't need to worry about them. I'm going to put my mace and my light crossbow on here, though. So I'm going to pick my mace and my light crossbow. And what is my attack bonus? Well, for melee weapons, your attack bonus is your strength, so mine is +2. And if you're proficient in that weapon, which it's simple, so I am, you get your proficiency bonus as well. So my attack bonus for a strength weapon is going to be +4. Now for a ranged weapon, now a light crossbow is a ranged weapon. And that means I have to use my dexterity. So my dexterity is +0. It's a simple weapon, so I'm still going to get my proficiency bonus, but that'll be +2. So weapons are here under equipment. I can then have a look at that, and I can see that the damage for a mace is 1d6 bludgeoning, so it'll be 1d6 +2, because that's my strength modifier, and my light crossbow will be 1d8, so I don't get a plus anything because my dexterity modifier is 0. So I write 1d6 +2 bludgeoning, and for my light crossbow it's just going to be 1d8 piercing. And that's my attacks. When I know what my spells are, I might also add spell attacks in here. Armor, my armor class. So my armor class is according to the armor that I put on before. The armor I chose was chainmail, and it's here. So my armor class with chainmail is going to be 16. Now I am going to equip a shield as well because I've got a mace, which is one-handed. So I get to add +2 to my armor class. That's 16 + 2, 18. So my armor class is going to be 18. Background was Acolyte. There we go. And that is my character sheet, minus spells, completed. I hope you enjoyed that. I will put up the spell video as soon as I possibly can. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, possibly subscribe, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.